So the biggest gripe, right? A good third of respondents said that the advice wasn't being personalized to the request. It's not as if they're saying conflict of interest है या कोई भयंकर खराब advice है. They're saying यार ये generic advice है. वो generic advice, I mean, giving the same generic advice that 50 other people have been given, and hence I'm not taking it very, very seriously, right? And this aspect I think central to understanding this aspect. The fact that naturally every family, every affluent individual believes I am unique, right? मेरी एक दुनिया में जगह है, मेरी एक पहचान है, मैं अलग हूँ दूसरों से. आप मुझे एडवाइस दीजिए मेरे नीड्स के, मेरे एस्पिरेशंस के मुताबिक, राइट? एंड दैट पीस इज मिसिंग. आई थिंक दैट्स द वन ऑफ द की रीजंस व्हाई वी आर सीइंग दिस मैसिव डिस्कनेक्ट इन इंडिया between the actual savings of affluent families versus their oversized goals and ambitions.
Welcome to the latest episode of Coffee and Investing with Saurabh. I'm Nandita, economist at Marcellus Investment Managers. And today my guest in the episode is Saurabh Mukherjee, the CIO at Marcellus Investment Managers. So Saurabh, welcome to the episode.
Thank you for having me here.
Right. So folks, today we are going to be talking about Indians' behavior, a survey that was done about Indians' behavior towards financial planning and saving in the country that Marcellus had undertaken. So we want to delve a little deeper into what's happening over there. So Saurabh, I wanted to talk to you about this. From our last conversation last time, I know that Indians have taken a lot more debt than what they had in their lifetimes, and that I also know that we are a thrifty people, that we tend to save at every opportunity that we have. So what is happening over here? What are your observations? What prompted Marcellus to do this survey?
I mean, look, you're right, Nandita, that the traditional perception is that we are not just thrifty, perhaps even stingy. I remember growing up in 80s and 90s Delhi, and my parents, whatever I would ask them for, they would say, "Nahi, paisa nahi hai." And I still remember that we would even sell the Raddi Ka Akhbar, the newspapers that we had finished reading. We would accumulate them, sell them at the end of the month, and whatever we would earn from that would pay for this only family meal outside the house in a given month, right? That was the India I grew up in. But there were four sets of things which have happened, Nandita, which led me to believe that it's worth revisiting these preconceived notions, right? Pehla development was the RBI data. The RBI's data is very clear. Net household financial savings are at a 50-year low in our country. Net household financial savings are barely running at 5% as a 50-year low. And that's something that we discovered in the post-COVID era. We wanted to understand kya ho raha hai. Second thing was another layer of RBI data shows that if you leave aside home loans, right? Home loans ko chhod dijiye. Household debt as a percentage of household income is running at 33-34%. That's one of the highest levels of household indebtedness in the world, right? So again, right, we're supposed to be a country which saves money, and यहाँ पे उल्टा हो रहा है, right? Households are taking on debt hand over fist. So we were keen to understand what's going on here. The third thing is the stock market में interest का पूरा जो explosion हुआ है after COVID, right? So 5 years ago, India had around 30 million demat accounts. Today, India has 180 million demat accounts, right? 6x growth in demat accounts. But perplexingly, the number of income taxpayers still remains 30 million, right, throughout this 5-year period, right? So बहुत strange है. Number of IT payers सिर्फ 30 million, लेकिन number of demat accounts have gone up 6x. We wanted to understand क्या हो रहा है. And the final piece is what we've discussed in Coffee and Investing before, right? ये पूरा जो AI का disruption है. AI is turning out to be a middle class job killer. AI is turning out to be a middle class job killer. It's laying to waste jobs which have repetitive tasks involved in it. And we were very keen to understand how are affluent Indians dealing with this disruption that AI has brought into their life. So plenty happening in the background. Pura change ho gaya behavior lag raha tha. So we thought let's go out there, let's hire an expert and let's get a survey done on this subject.
Right. This is super interesting, actually. So, I want to understand more about this survey. What were the locations that you chose for this? What kind of people did you survey? What was the age bracket? What were the incomes? So, can you just go into the mechanics of the survey, how it was conducted?
So, look, we hired Dun and Bradstreet to do the survey, but we gave DNB, we gave Dun and Bradstreet very specific markers on how we wanted the survey done, right? Given the background that I laid out, it made sense to us to focus on metros, tier 1 and tier 2 cities, right? So we said, let's focus on the bigger cities in the country because that's where the bulk of the savings and borrowing action is. So we told DNB, आप focus करो metros, tier 1 and tier 2. Secondly, we said focus on people who are aged 30 and over. 30 के ऊपर, right? Because whilst you would love to believe that youngsters like you are saving a lot of money, and I'm sure you are, right? By and large, the core saving is done by people who are aged 30 and over. The third thing we said, let's focus on Indians who have post-tax income of at least 20 lakhs, right? Remember the typical Indian's pre-tax income, as per income tax data, the typical Indian's pre-tax income is around 10.5 lakh, right? Typical income taxpayer earns 10.5 lakh a year. So we said let's focus on people who are at least 2.5, perhaps even thrice as richer. So minimum income of a survey respondent, we said, should be post-tax basis पे कम से कम 20 लाख रुपया, right? Tier 1, metro tier 1, tier 2, age 30 and over. And the mandate to DNB was go out and survey around 500 people and give us the responses. 500 is statistically significant number, right? Just to sort of contextualize this, my reckoning is if we were to look at the income tax data, no more than 15 million Indians using IT data, no more than 15 million Indians will be earning more than 20 lakhs per annum on a post-tax basis, right? Even if you assume that IT data में under reporting है, Indians have black money that they might be hiding, I doubt more than 20-25 million Indians are earning more than this amount. But these 20-25 million Indians are critical because this is the core driver of India's savings and consumption, right? So इनको survey करने से काफी value मिलता. From that abadi, from that 15 to 20 million Indians who are earning more than 20 lakhs per annum post-tax, DNB went and surveyed. I think the precise number is 456 such affluent Indians.
Right. So it's quite fascinating. So from the looks of it, from whatever you just described, it looks like the people that you surveyed were mostly upper middle class and the rich segment of the country, the relatively better off affluent class in the country. So prima facie, from what I know, I don't think there would be any problems. I see them taking foreign trips. I see them buying iPhones. I see them buying bigger cars. So this class of Indians surely have a lot of money saved, not just for now, but even for the future. What were the key findings from this survey? Was it in line with what I'm saying, or was it something else that you saw?
आपने बोला ठीक है, सोशल मीडिया के मुताबिक तो पार्टी चल रहा है, राइट? फुल पार्टीज ऑन, इंडियंस आर हॉलीडेइंग अराउंड द वर्ल्ड, Indians are living the good life. But I think the RBI is on to something. The RBI's data has been clearly highlighting now for the last couple of years that Indians are not saving enough, right? Our survey points in that direction. So I was stunned to see the survey results. I shouldn't have been at one level because RBI data was clearly saying that हमारे देश में लोग पैसा enough बचा नहीं रहे हैं. But फिर भी, in spite of that, I was just stunned to see. Remember, we thought that since we are surveying rich people, right? If you earn 3x the typical income taxpayer, you're rich by any definition. But even though we were surveying rich people, we found that they don't save enough money. So 43% of Indians, right? Remember, this is our survey respondents. 43% of affluent Indians, right, have a savings rate of less than 20%. मतलब अगर 100 रुपए कमाई हो रही है उनकी, 20 रुपए की भी बचत नहीं है उनकी. Right, so 43% of affluent Indians have a savings rate of 20% or less. ठीक है, 100 रुपए में से 20 रुपए भी बचा नहीं पा रहे. Even more stunningly, Nandita, in the age bracket between 30 to 45, right? So मतलब जो core आपका middle class का main working years of their life, 30 से 45 की उम्र, 50% of Indians in that age bracket, 50% of affluent Indians in that age bracket of 30 to 45 aren't even saving 20% of their income, right? So the savings piece is a disaster. Even more stunningly, we found that 14% of survey respondents, and I stress again, folks, the survey respondents are affluent Indians. 14% of our survey respondents had zero emergency fund. तो कुछ उल्टा सीधा जिंदगी में हो गया. They have no fallback savings, and these are affluent Indians. कोई fallback savings है नहीं. So पहला big sort of thrust of the findings was that affluent Indians aren't saving enough money, right? Right. The second set of findings was that people's dreams and ambitions and goals are multiple, right? And these are big dreams. सपने बहुत बड़े हैं लोगों के. Savings भले छोटे हो, लोगों के सपने बहुत बड़े हैं. So 40% of Indians want to save for a house. Can't begrudge them that. But even more interestingly, 40% of Indians want to do a startup. They want to set up their own firm, right? So affluent Indians है 40% को घर खरीदना है, 40% को अपनी कंपनी शुरू करनी है. Another 40% want to retire early. Right, this is a bizarre kind of fetish which has arisen in India recently. Last 5 साल में लोगों को दिमाग में पता नहीं क्या डाल दिया गया है कि आपको रिटायर अर्ली करनी चाहिए. सेविंग्स है नहीं, लेकिन रिटायर अर्ली करने की एक इच्छा, एक उम्मीद है, राइट? एंड देन मोर अंडरस्टैंडेबली 75% ऑफ इंडियंस, and I stress again, these are affluent Indians. 75% of affluent Indians want to save for their children's education and their children's marriage. This marriage bit is very interesting. This is a very Indian thing. कि बच्चे की शादी के पैसे भी आप ही भरोगे, वो काफ़ी एक हमारे देश की है. अगर आप यूएसए और यूरोप में जाके किसी को बोलोगे कि आपको बच्चों की पढ़ाई भी करानी है, उसकी शादी भी करानी है, they will be a little perplexed by that. But anyway, so be it, right? So what's intriguing here is affluent Indians aren't saving enough money. Remember I said 30 to 45 की एज ग्रुप में आधे लोग की 20% की बचत भी नहीं है, राइट? लेकिन सपने बहुत सारे हैं, ड्रीम्स एंड एम्बिशंस हैं, गोल्स आर वेरी बिग, राइट? एंड दिस सॉर्ट ऑफ डाइकोटमी hit me very hard, right? And in a way this helped me understand why affluent Indians are so anxious, right? वो affluent है, कमा रहे हैं, post tax income is thrice the national norm, but their dreams and ambitions are so punchy, so high relative to their dreams and ambitions. The savings are very modest. And I think that disconnect is what's making so many affluent Indians so anxious, so stressed about their future.
Yeah, I mean, rightfully so. It is actually quite worthy of being anxious if you don't have enough
So
money.
14% फैमिलीज के पास कोई इमरजेंसी फंड है ही नहीं, राइट? तो एंशियस होने का तो कुछ वजह है ना.
No, absolutely. That brings me to the point. Then, what kind of savings or what kind of investments are these people getting into? Because kahin to paisa ja raha hai, right? There's some ways in which these guys are spending their money, or even investing may not be the best aspect of investing, or the best asset allocation that you would call it. But where is it going? Is it going into equities? Is it going into real estate? I know a lot of people who do invest in real estate specifically beyond their primary residences. So what is your view on that kind of an investment?
So again, what we found on asset allocation, right, is that you would have thought that given that the survey took place, folks, in February, March of 2025. So we're serving affluent Indians 5 years into a punchy bull market. The bull market began in March 2022, जब COVID का पहला wave का sort of fear घट गया. March 2020, the bull market began. We're serving Indians in March 2025, and I expected to see in the survey that equity is a big part of Indians in savings, but वो नज़र नहीं आ रहा है, right? We found that only 20% of affluent Indian families' wealth is invested in equity. The biggest allocation is still to real estate. हमारे देश में एक real estate का fascination रहा है. The RBI's 2017 Household Financial Committee survey said that 95% of Indian household wealth is invested in physical assets, right? हमारे में 95% तो नहीं दिखा, but what we saw was that amongst affluent families, leaving aside the primary residence, right? We deliberately told Dun and Bradstreet, अब primary residence को बाहर छोड़ दीजिए, right? Focus on the wealth piece of households, excluding the primary resident. Leaving that aside, we realized that real estate is still a far bigger allocation for affluent Indians than equities. Equities is a mere 20%. Real estate is a far bigger allocation than that. And that really surprised me. Now, why did it surprise me? Because if you take a long-term horizon, right? अब last 10 साल देख लीजिए, 2015 से 2025, last 10 years, real estate hasn't even given returns commensurate to inflation, right? So the flat I live in a reasonably nice part of Bombay has compounded for me at 4-5%, right? Just about in line with inflation. Last COVID के दौरान भाव गिरे. Post-COVID, there's been a bit of a recovery, but over a 10-year cycle, or a 20-year cycle, or a 30-year cycle, or a 40-year cycle, real estate does not give you inflation-beating returns, and yet it remains by far the biggest allocation in Indian families' portfolio. And I find this really intriguing, right? Remember, stepping back again, savings are low. RBI का डेटा भी दिखा रहा है सेविंग्स कम है, हमारा सर्वे भी दिखा रहा है सेविंग्स कम है. जो थोड़ी बहुत सेविंग्स हैं, उसमें सबसे बड़ा allocation is to a low return asset class, real estate. Not only is it a low return asset class, it's tax unfriendly, right? Capital gains tax on selling property is pretty high, and it's illiquid. Selling a property, whether it's in Bombay or Delhi or a smaller town, is not an easy task, right? So very intriguing state of affairs that Indians are saving too little compared to their grand ambitions and aspirations, and yet within their savings, the biggest allocation is to a illiquid, low return asset class, which is real estate.
Right. So, if I have to sort of put this all together from whatever I've sort of gleaned off from whatever you've said for so long, is that A, Indians have crazy aspirations. They do not have enough savings, and whatever savings they have are invested in such asset classes as real estate, which do not give them enough returns. So, if this is the case, and if this is how bad things are, then why aren't Indians going to professional financial planners? Because I know that SEBI website also has a lot of them listed out. Your book itself, Coffee Can Investing, had a few of them mentioned in the final pages of the book. So why aren't people utilizing this professional help which is available, and it's also clearly disseminated in public fora?
So Nandita, now getting into the why, right? What's going on here? Indians are smart people, they're hardworking people, मेहनत कर रहे हैं, कमाई कर रहे हैं, क्यों enough नहीं save कर रहे? I think we spent the second part of the survey understanding the why, what's going on here, right? So the first thing we realize is that most Indians don't know how to go about saving, right? So only 13% of the survey respondents said that they were comfortable with their knowledge on savings and investment. 87% said, boss, हमको पता नहीं है कैसे करना है. So we then asked them, if you don't know कैसे करना है, who do you turn to? किसके पास जाते हो आप? Right? And the most common answer, I think 32%, a good third of the respondents said that they either go to a chartered accountant that they know locally, or they go to a wealth manager. ठीक है, so that's perfectly valid answer कि 87% बोल रहे हैं हमको पता नहीं है कहाँ कैसे करना है. So the largest constituency within that, a good third of people are saying we go to a CA or a wealth manager. Another 25-26% turn to friends and family कि आप दोस्तों से बात कर रहे हो, you trust your friends and you said Nandita आपने ऐसे किया, बता दो कैसे किया, मैं भी कर लेता हूँ, right? And then there's a third constituency which neither goes to CAs, nor wealth managers, nor friends and family. These people go to the local bank manager, right? So around another 20% or so, 20% or so people go to the local bank manager. So 1 in 3 are going to the local CA or wealth manager. 1 in 4 are going to friends and family, and 1 in 5 are going to the local bank manager and saying हमको help कर दो, right? These are the people they're going to, right? Now problem क्या हो रहा है? Problem हो रहा है that overwhelmingly people are saying that they're unhappy with the advice that they're getting, right? Now 2/3 of respondents told us, right? So we surveyed around 456, I think 456 people to be exact. 2/3 said that they're unhappy with the advice that they're getting, and I'm highlighting this 2/3 because I'm very keen to understand why people aren't saving enough. So one of the reasons could be because they're unhappy with the advice, they're not taking the advice very seriously, तो इसलिए उसके ऊपर वो act नहीं कर रहे. So we then probed on, we double clicked on why aren't you happy with the advice? आपको problem क्या advice के साथ? So the biggest gripe, right? A good third of respondents said that the advice wasn't being personalized to the request. It's not as if they're saying conflict of interest है या कोई भयंकर खराब advice है. They're saying यार ये generic advice है, वो generic advice I've been given the same generic advice that 50 other people have been given, and hence I'm not taking it very, very seriously, right? And this aspect I think is central to understanding this aspect. The fact that naturally every family, every affluent individual believes I am unique, right? मेरी एक दुनिया में जगह है, मेरी एक पहचान है, मैं अलग हूँ दूसरों से. आप मुझे एडवाइस दीजिए मेरे नीड्स के, मेरे एस्पिरेशंस के मुताबिक, राइट? एंड दैट पीस इज मिसिंग, एंड आई थिंक दैट्स द वन ऑफ द की रीजंस व्हाई वी आर सीइंग दिस मैसिव डिस्कनेक्ट इन इंडिया between the actual savings of affluent families versus their oversized goals and ambitions.
Right. I mean, these are large percentages if you think about it, the kind of people and the dissatisfaction that people have with this whole ecosystem. In this case, I personally did not have an idea how widespread this issue is, because come to think of it, even with my friends and family, they do rely on the local CAs, they do rely on the bank managers, because they simply do not know that there's professional help that's actually available for this kind of a problem. So what is your view on this? Is there any solution for people to reach out to which is credible and that they can trust on, and then they can also trust them to make enough money for their survival throughout their lifetime?
So before I come to the solution, right? Let me help viewers understand, there's another mental concept that we can sort of use to contextualize what's happening in India. That concept is called the hedonic treadmill, right? So hedonic treadmill क्या होता है? Hedonic treadmill is as we get richer, our dreams and aspirations are then raised up, right? जैसे जैसे पैसे बढ़ते हैं जिंदगी में, अब अरमान, सपने, goals are scaled up, right? There's nothing wrong with that, except that not all of our goals, dreams, aspirations are made equal, right? Broadly, तीन अलग अलग प्रकार के गोल्स हैं, right? There are certain essential goals in life, certain essential needs in life that you need to fulfill. So, for example, for my wife and myself, creating a solid retirement corpus is an essential goal, right? Then one level junior to these essential goals is good to have goals, right? So, good to have goals is we don't have a car, so having a nice car, say ideally an SUV for Bombay's lovely roads would be a good to have dream, so that I don't have to constantly go around in ride share taxis which have low, poor quality suspension. So first layer of goals is essential goals on which your basic quality of life hinges. One level junior to that are good to have goals. And third level are luxuries, right? Luxuries signal to the world that, hey, I have arrived in life, I am better off than most of my peer group, right? So luxury for us would be a holiday home in Goa or a holiday home in the Himalayas, right? So this aspect of being able to classify your goals into these three categories is essential, because only then can you start properly planning for your financial goals, right? अगर आपको लग रहा है कि यार गोवा में हॉलीडे होम भी उतनी इंपॉर्टेंट है जितनी मेरी रिटायरमेंट कॉर्पस है, आई एम सॉरी, that's the recipe for disaster. If you believe early retirement is just as much of an essential goal as saving for, say, your children's education, I think you need to rethink your priorities a little bit, right? Now, how does one do this, right? The hedonic treadmill is a feature of human life. You get richer, you upsize your ambitions and goals, right? One way to deal with this is to have a good financial planner helping you do this, right? As you rightly pointed out, SEBI's website, I think, has 900 such financial planners, names, details diya hua hai. Anybody watching this can access the names of independent financial advisors through the SEBI website. What we've done in Marcellus is provide a lot of this free of charge, right? So there are two ways you can access our services free of charge. Firstly, if you go to if you just type into your phone or into your laptop, plan.marcellus.in. Plan.marcellus.in has some free software which will do for you the first layer of basic financial planning free of charge, right? So you have to just go to plan.marcellus.in. It'll ask you about your goals, it'll ask you about your savings, and it'll tell you very quickly kitna percent आपका goals are going to be met and which of your goals are actually at risk, right? That's a free service, plan.marcellus.in. We're also putting up a QR code, which if you just put your phone on that QR code, you can go to that website free of charge. Second is, mano you go to our website, get this done free of charge, but you now want to double click. You want to go deeper. That, hey, Saurabh, you're telling us that only two out of three of our goals are now going to be financed. I want 3 out of 3 financed. Give me a financial plan which will get all my goals financed. Then I would suggest write to plan@marcellus.in. Write to this email address, plan @marcellus.in, and one of my colleagues will then create for you your bespoke financial plan to help you meet your goals. This too, folks, is free of charge, right? ये दूसरी चीज भी free of charge है, right? So first thing that's free of charge is go to plan.marcellus.in, type in yourselves, your own goals and your savings, and you'll get a basic sense of how much of your financial goals are going to be met and where do you stand exposed. Then if you want something more bespoke and a proper financial planner to get to work on your goals, write to us at plan@marcellus.in, and my colleagues will spend anywhere between 1 to 3 hours talking to you one-on-one and helping you figure out how to financially plan your future. This too is free of charge, right? And the last aspect I'll leave you guys with is that there's plenty of material available, leaving aside SEBI's website where SEBI has very nicely displayed the names of 900 financial advisors who will for a fee help you plan your financial future. There's plenty of other material available which will help you plan for your future. Not least my 2018 book, Coffee Can Investing, the Low Risk Route to Stupendous Wealth, which I co-authored with my colleague Rakshit Ranjan and my erstwhile colleague Pranav Uliyal, right? There are other books like that. So go out there, read up, but be aware that we are in a situation in our country where for affluent people, the quantum of savings is very modest. Their asset allocation is alright. They've got too much asset allocated to a low return asset class such as real estate, too little to equities. Within equities, their diversification is poor, and for many people that I'm seeing, their goals and ambitions in life are far bigger than their modest savings. And I'll end with just a numerical demonstration of how this maths works, right? So suppose I'm earning, assume that I'm 40 years old and assume I'm earning 30 lakhs a year, right? So pre-tax, I'm earning 30 lakhs a year and I'm 40 years old, right? So I've got 20 years to go to retirement. At the point of retirement, if I aspire to have the same lifestyle that I have today, right, the same lifestyle, 30 lakhs per annum wala lifestyle, if I want that at the age of 60, right? So 40 साल मेरी उम्र है, 60 पे मैं रिटायर करूंगा, 60 के बाद मुझे 30 लाख वाली लाइफस्टाइल चाहिए. Then the maths is very easy to do, and the math suggests at the point of retirement, Saurabh Mukherjee needs 15 crores, 15 crores of financial assets in 20 years hence का money. Moving that money to today's value, right? Remember 20 साल hence पैसा का value कम होगा, तो उस ज़माने में मुझे 20 साल बाद मेरे को 15 करोड़ चाहिए. Today I need 5 crores in today's money. If I want to have the same lifestyle that I have today, I want that through my retirement years, right? So very modest goal. 30 lakhs per annum is my gross income. I want that through my retirement years, the age of 60 to 85. तो मुझे 15 करोड़ कॉर्पस के साथ रिटायर करना है, which in today's money is 5 crores, right? I'm not seeing that sort of savings happening in India, hence the survey, hence all of this free stuff that we are offering both through plan.marcellus.in or if you write to us at plan@marcellus.in.
No, indeed, it has been quite illuminating. We absolutely had no idea about the how widespread this issue is and how people's goals are not aligning with their savings or the money that they have currently. So thank you so much for doing this with us. And folks listening to this or watching this, please do take care of how you're allocating your savings into various asset classes. It's very, very important because you don't want to be in a situation where you don't end up with any money post-retirement, where you don't earn anything. So please do take care of that. And even before retirement, you need to sort of start thinking about it, because money only starts building up over a period of time. It's not going to drop in your bucket at the very end of your working life age. So please take care of that. Thanks, Saurabh, for joining
My
us
pleasure.
on
Thank
this
you for hosting the
episode
podcast.
and
Thank
helping
you.
us understand. Thank you.
Thanks.